Greetings, good evening, or morning, wherever you are in the world. Yeah, I figure I would post this both up on YouTube and also on IGTV. I haven't really posted anything. And on a note, if you guys are wondering what happened to the Instagram account, my personal Instagram account is just going to be my Instagram account. So, episodes and stuff for IGTV is going to be there. Still don't know what to do with IGTV. Really, I don't. Well, I'll figure out something. But for right now, just some of the ones that I want on there will be on there. Will also be on YouTube. Google's been in the news. Google's been in the news for some crazy, crazy thing. But I think it's funny just what a lot of people are talking about. And a lot of the things that they're shooting straight towards. And there's one aspect that I haven't read anybody writing about when it comes to this whole ordeal with Google that I think is ultimately being missed. Because this actually would kind of fit the bill a little bit as to what's going on. So this kind of stems to the whole thing with the EU and Google beginning to charge that area licensing fees to use the Google Play Store, Google Search, those things, right? And as soon as this broadcasted, everyone immediately went to Google's getting revenge. Revenge on the EU for the $5 billion lawsuit that was against them for antitrust violations. And you know what? I mean, I'm not saying that people are far off from that. Well, obviously, Google gets sued. Google loses lawsuit. Google is ordered to pay $5 billion to the EU for antitrust violations. People in that region, businesses keep saying that Google is just killing the little guy by having search as a default search on an Android device, even though I've argued the point that it was pretty idiotic for this lawsuit, and I still stand by it. I don't care what anyone says. I still stand by it because Google's very open source. Yes, Google search is on an Android phone, and why wouldn't it be? It's like asking Apple to not have Safari on their iPhones, right? The difference, though, is that you, the user, can choose the options that you want to use. So if you want to use a certain launcher, you can set that as default. If you want to use a certain search, you can set that as default. You can do a little, you can basically use what you want to use on Android, right? Nevertheless, they were sued, they lost. Right, so now we have this thing where Google's like, okay, if you're going to use the Play Store, if you're going to use this, Google Search, you're going to have to start paying a licensing fee. And everyone immediately goes to revenge from Google. Google's revenge. Revenge, revenge, revenge. I wouldn't say they're far off from that, but there's also something else that we're missing in these articles that I think is being overlooked. Can anyone take a guess? I'll give you a second to think about it. I'm a little bit under the weather too, by the way, so please excuse me if I'm so dull and bland today. Although I've been told I'm dull and bland every day. That's long enough. The thing that's missing out of all this is a project. A project that we know Google is working on. And, Google has funny names for its projects, like Project Maven, which was a project that they did with the U.S. military. They were trying to build AI, for drones for the military to control. There was Project Ara, which is basically Google's spin on a modular phone that other companies took the idea, ran with it. Some were successful, some were fails. Google scrapped the whole plan. But this project that I'm referring to is Project Fuchsia, which I've also vlogged about here on YouTube. And some people know what Project Fuchsia is, and if you know what Project Fuchsia is, that's great, that's golden. If you don't, I'll tell you what it is. And it's funny because Project Fuchsia came to light right around when it was announced that Google had been sued and lost to the EU and had to pay $5 billion. Because when that article went viral, this article popped up too. Project Fuchsia, an operating system for mobile smartphones or pocket computers. whatever you refer to them as. Project Fuchsia is Google's spin on the operating system. And the reason why that I say it is Google's more so than what Android is that Android was developed by 3 guys who had an idea of a mobile platform that they envisioned. And originally Android was going to be released on something that was very, very, very similar to a BlackBerry. They had no plans of making it a touchscreen device until Google snatched up Android. So Android was not conceived by Google, it was conceived by Andy Rubin and his friends. Which is why the Essential Phone got so much respect from a lot of techies out there, was because they know who Andy Rubin is and what he's done for the industry. Android. Now, Project Fuchsia is different. Project Fuchsia is going to be the first mobile operating system platform by Google, if they decide to launch this thing off the ground, which they said like 5 years. In 5 years, Project Fuchsia will actually have its official name and will be out there. In no way is Project Fuchsia going to be called Android and take over Android. That's not the point of it. But the one thing that will change with Project Fuchsia that some people were just not too happy about, mostly developers, was the fact that Project Fuchsia would not be open sourced. It wouldn't be Android. See, Android is open sourced. You can take source code files, you can build Android the way you want to build it, right? As long as you're not taking the source code files, building a version of Android and then selling it, you're okay. Project Fuchsia is going to be closed, which means that Google will have full control over this, and other OEMs such as LG, HTC, Samsung, and Motorola would have to pay licensing fees to use this operating system. You guys kind of following me now why I said that this whole thing with the EU and the licensing fees, there's something missing out of it? Could Google potentially be testing out how other businesses will react to having to pay licensing fees to use Google software? Because if it doesn't go the way that they want it to go, say like companies say, okay, screw it, we'll build our own software, keep yours, and figure out what you're going to do with yours. We'll just develop ours and create more mobile operating systems to compete against iOS and whatever Project Fuchsia is going to be called, and Android. And yeah, right? They'll just flood the entire market with different types of mobile operating systems and completely break up this commodity that has been built all the way up to Android versus iOS, right? And so this would be a way of Google to test that out, because if it works, and it will work just about anywhere. I like to personally think, just kind of end this off, just when I think about it. Yeah, I'm not too happy about Project Fuchsia. I'll go on record and say that. I still like Android, and I hope that Google does not kill off Android like they've killed off other great things that they had a good idea about, that they poorly executed but could have corrected with just some effort. Because that would suck. And really, honestly, I don't think that they could really kill Android, because there's too many people out there that like Android, the same as there's a lot of people that like iOS. Project Fuchsia, I don't know how people are going to like or adapt to it. But we do know that it's closed source, so we're not going to get a lot of modding and development out there unless Google handles that. But the only plus side to the closed source thing is that when Google puts out a software update, OEMs are going to have to put out that software update. They can't just pick and choose. They got to put it out there. And yeah, so that, who knows? Who knows what happens? Who knows if Project Fuchsia is just Google's, exclusive operating system that they're only going to have on Pixel devices, and then Android's going to be like on LG, Motorola, and all those ones. We don't know. There's so many variables that can happen here. But the thing is that it's not just Google's revenge against the EU to now start to charge licensing fees to use the Play Store and Google Search in that region, but it could also be that they're testing to see how manufacturers will respond to having to pay licensing fees for a mobile operating system released by Google, because Project Fuchsia is going to be closed. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section of the video. Drop a like if you guys enjoyed my little rant tonight. And yeah, thanks for watching. Aloha.